Welcome to the Good Days Academy podcast. I'm Maria, a virtual assistant, project manager, and social media manager, here to help you launch and scale that VA business you've been dreaming to have. If you're ready for expert advice on virtual assistant services, marketing, productivity, and work-life balance, you are in the right place. Let's create brighter days together, one episode at a time. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Good Days Academy podcast. Today, I have Mariah. We have the royalty today because she is the queen of content. And she's actually like one of the first people that I started following when I started my business. I don't know if she's aware, but she has like a very special spot in my heart
Oh,
because of her, I had like the courage of continue posting on my Instagram because I was like in this little rut of like, I don't know what I'm doing. Should I even continue? So I'll give you more details, but for now, I'll just pass it over to Mariah. Hi, welcome.
thank you, Maria, for having me. Oh my God, that is so beautiful. Thank you so much for having me. And hello, everyone. So, yes, my name is Mariah, but I get Maria a lot because people are just like, oh, Maria. So, usually some clients call me Maria because it's easier with their accents. But thank you for having me. And I remember the first time you came to my workshop, I was in France. So, for people that don't know me, I travel full time as a digital nomad. And when Maria joined my workshop, I was in France, in Toulouse. And that was an interesting time because Wi-Fi could be quite interesting when I did those workshops. And yeah, I'm the founder of Content Queen, which is a content marketing agency and educational business. So we also educate VA, social media managers, small business owners, and entrepreneurs on content strategy. And I do that through my content bootcamp program. And I just love it. I love creating content. I do that with my partner, Mitch, who is also Colombian. So that's why Marie and I
Yes.
connected as well. And, yeah, we travel full time at the moment in Australia right now, but, we'll be heading to Southeast Asia at the end of this year.
And you also have a very interesting story about how you started your own business because Mariah was also a 9 to 5 girl. So let's talk about that because we were actually talking a little bit about like having a 9 to 5 and owning your business and all that. So can you share with us how, the story about having that, starting your business up to the moment where you took the decision of like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just going to go full time with my business.
Oh, I love this story because, like, I think everyone has a journey. We see what we see on social media of like, oh, they just started this business overnight and then all of a sudden they're working full time. But that wasn't really how it happens. And I think sharing these stories is really important for other side hustlers or entrepreneurs who are in their early days to remember like we all started somewhere. And I never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur or business owner. It was never in my plan. It wasn't like I dreamed, like my family were entrepreneurs. Like I just didn't grow up like that. So I started working in corporate in 2016 and I moved to the big city to work this corporate job and live this Melbourne lifestyle. So the city of Melbourne in Australia is a very fun city. And I was paying my rent to doing all those adult things. And it got to the point where I was like, I like rent is expensive, everything is expensive. I love to travel and I went on so many overseas holidays when I was at university. I like worked my Kmart job in retail just to go on holidays basically. And when I got to a year in, I was like, "Well, what's this going to? Like what I want more." I was only a year in. I
Mm.
was like, "What's next?" And I remember talking to a friend and she was a graphic designer and she's like, "Oh, have you heard of this app called Fiverr?" And at the time my job was PR and internal communications, and I started to like go into marketing. And she said, Fife is a really good opportunity for you to sell your services for extra money. And I was like, ding, ding, that sounds great. I will go on Fiverr and sell my services and make more money to travel. It could be my side gig. So in 2017, I made my profile. I got like here and there a couple of jobs, but I was charging like $10 for a blog, like a 500-word blog article, $10, 10 Australian dollars, similar to the Canadian exchange. Yeah. And $10 for a press release because that was sort of my strength. And some of the reviews, like, I think sometimes, like, what do people expect for $10? But some people, like, give me one bad review. I had some really good ones and then, like, one bad one, and I was like, "I can't do this anymore. This feedback is so harsh." So I, like, went off my parents like, "I think it's good for your mental health just to go off the platform." In the meantime, I was doing, like, travel blogging. I wanted to do a podcast. Like, I was always very goal orientated. And then I sort of got to this point where I just wanted to travel more. I saw myself living in New York, being a writer. I wanted to live in the United States. I wanted to just, I wanted more. I couldn't see my being able to move in the company I was in. So it's like, I just don't know what that looks like. Can I be a paid podcaster? Could I be a paid blogger? I don't really know. And then I started to learn about the world of entrepreneurship, online businesses. And I met this woman who was a digital nomad. And I was like, what is this? This is amazing. And at the end of 2018, I had an opportunity to join like a network marketing sort of situation, which is
Mhm.
not really aligned to what I do. Anyway, I was in it for 2 weeks. I was like, I don't want to do this. This is too scary. So I just like pulled the pin on it. And I remember a guy at work saying, Mariah, you write every day. You're doing marketing, you're doing PR, and you're doing internal comms. Just write for people. Just write. Just offer your writing services. You will have jobs coming in like this all the time. And I was like, okay. So I got on my Fiverr. I was sort of dabbling a little bit and I really made an effort. Like I put that energy in, like I am going to start a business, updated my profile. And it's interesting how that works with like energy and the universe or whatever you believe in. You seem to get these things that come to you, right? Like you have those opportunities and those experiences that just happen. So I really put energy into this side hustle. And somewhere along the line, Content Queen came to me and I named my business Content Queen. I remember driving to work and like I was listening to a podcast about naming your business and I was like, Content Queen, of course. So I wrote it down as soon as I got to work. I'm like, that's my business, obviously. But then there was the next step of kind of telling my boss that I wanted to start a side hustle because I wanted to start posting on social media. I wanted to get off Fiverr because I had a lot of reviews on Fiverr. I was like a level 2 seller. I was getting jobs. Like I would go to sleep and I would wake up at 6 a.m. to a job with a 24-hour delivery. Obviously, I started to increase my prices, but I was still not charging my worth. I was just like, I want to get experience. I want to get experience, which I don't think is a bad thing. And I could probably touch on that. Sometimes you do have to offer things at a cheaper rate to kind of get that experience because, you can't get experience without an opportunity, right? And some people, I'm all for paying worth, but I know you need to get those sort of like people in the door. So I was like thinking about how I could tell my boss because I wanted to make this like a real thing. And I just had a meeting with him and I was like, look, I want to start my own thing. Like I promise like it won't impact my work. I promise like actually if anything it'll make it better because I'm learning so much. I'm listening to podcasts daily. I'm really putting the effort. I'm learning how to make a website. I'm learning lots more about socials because the social media page that we had at my company that I worked for had 170,000 followers on Facebook. So content was easy. And that was back when I was in automotive. You posted a cool looking car, it went viral. Like we'd break the internet with some of the stuff that we were posting. But that's just not reality, right? Like that was a business that had been around for 60 years. Like they had a reputation. Like naturally they were going to have a lot of engagement. So I was like, I'll be learning more and all this stuff. And he's like, that's fine. Like I'm happy for you to do your thing. And I was like, phew. So in June of 2019, it was the 5th of June, I hit live on my website, which looked terrible. But I just started posting on social media. In the beginning, it wasn't the best, and I didn't have a strategy, because I was doing more content writing, right? I wasn't necessarily doing the stuff I do now, but, I was doing it for my day job. I knew the marketing, so eventually I sort of grew and grew and grew, and, I had my first business coach. She was great, but I think some of the things she told me was like, "Charge if you wanna make $5,000 months, just charge one product at 5,000. Boom, you just have to sell one." Good in theory, right? But try selling a $5,000 content package. Like, I think now I've done it since, but, then it wasn't really something that you could realistically do. So that wasn't the great best advice. But once I sort of learnt how to price myself and everything, I started to get a couple of clients slowly. And then 2020, we're in COVID and, I kind of felt like, and maybe you resonate with this, Maria, you don't know how you're gonna push that next level. Like, you're doing your thing, you're getting clients, but you're like, "I need to get to that next level," and it's not happening, and I feel like I'm just a little bit, like, stagnant where I don't see that next growth coming that I can just go tomorrow, "Yep, quit my job, see you later." You kinda have to make that for yourself, and there was just this epiphany that I had. I was like, "You just gotta quit and just see what happens." So,
Yep.
And I had told my boss I was quitting in May of 2020. I literally, like, the first, like, when you have your performance review at the start of the year with your boss, I was like, "Just letting you know, my exit date is May 30." And he's like, "Random, but sure, great. Thank you for letting me know." It was just an intention, right? I had to let him know. May comes around, we're working from home, we're in COVID. He's like, I really want you to stay because we can't hire anyone. You're working from home, you're working part-time. Could you just stay with us?" I was like, "Sure." But then 2 months in after that, I was like, "I gotta go." And he's like, "Yep, that's fine. Like, I totally get it." They did end up hiring me for freelancing work, so that was awesome. Because I got a really big project with them, and that really helped me in my business. But, I was just like, "I think you gotta cut that cord because I don't see myself having the time to manage any more clients, and I just don't know how I'm gonna make it to that, $5,000 month that I need to sustain my living." So I was fortunate enough, I was living with my brother, I was paying really cheap rent, we're in COVID, no one was doing anything, so I totally want to acknowledge that there was a lot of privilege in that, in terms of I had a really good opportunity to quit, but you've gotta take those. Some people don't, and I did, and after that, it just here I am, like, 5 years later, or 4, and I have my partner who works with me. I've got 2 girls that help me, and we have about 10 clients at the moment, that we work with ongoing, and I've got some emails for some new clients. It's actually been nuts, and we're also educating people and helping them. So, yeah, long journey. It's a long one, but it was, like, so worth it because now we travel full time. We do what we want. Obviously, it's hard work. Like, I'm not gonna say like, I work 4 hours a day." No, some days I work a lot. But I've got that freedom and flexibility that we don't all get when we have a 9 to 5, and I'm just so glad. And sometimes I remind myself like, "Oh my god, I'd just be finishing work right now," and then I'd have to drive home, which was an hour commute. I mean, I know now there's a lot of luxury of working from home, but I was like, "Wow, how did I do it all?" I don't know. Really don't know.
Honestly, how do you do it all? And you make content for Content Queen as well and Mariah as well. So it's like I was gonna ask you though, like how did you like what was happening in your head? Or what was like the breakthrough that you were like, okay, I'm gonna have to quit. Like I'm gonna quit no matter, and I'll make this work. What was happening in your brain? Because I was telling Mariah before we hit record that I kind of feel like I am at that point in my business where I could quit, but honestly, it's just pure fear. It's just like, just like knowing that I have the safe job when in reality, they can just like fire me tomorrow and that'll be it. But for some reason, that gives me a little bit more security. So I want to know exactly what was the thought process for you.
Yeah. So I have an amazing mentor. Her name is Leticia Andrak, and she's a business strategist. And she wrote a book. And in that book, she puts together like a framework that helps you use your intuition to build your business. And one of the stages, because it's the light framework, so it's LIGHT, and the H is all about honor. And when you're going through a process where you know what you want, you go after what you want, you have the people around you to support you, you've got your clients, you've got everything. Before you can reach that transformation of quitting or letting something go or getting to that next level, you've got to sit with it and honor it. And that is the most uncomfortable position you could ever be in. And I've had this happen multiple times in my life with things like when my partner Mitch and I decided to live together in the Gold Coast, and we got this dream apartment and that was going to be like $600 a week. Oh my god, I felt horrible. I felt sick. I was like, "Is this the right decision? I don't know." Because what's happening is your ego is now stepping in. So you made an intuitive decision, and that felt really good, and then your ego steps in, and your ego is here to protect you. So every time the moment we were about to go to Europe that week before we were heading to Europe, that was our first, like, digital nomad experience. We'd done Australia, but super easy, right? You've got clients on your time zone. If anything goes wrong, you could just drive back to mum and dad's. But we're going to Europe, and I just felt sick. I was like, "What happens if I lose a client while I'm away?" I did. I didn't have a client pay me for 3 months. I got through it, right? They didn't lose them, they just decided not to pay me, so I was still actively doing the work. We could talk about that because I'm still haven't been paid by them. And yeah, so maybe that's a topic because that hurts. And I just felt sick, and that's normal because that's your ego trying to protect you. And then you've got these doubts. Is it the right decision? Oh my God, what have I done? But at the moment, you know what you want, you know that vision, and you've just got to sit with that really uncomfortable, like, oh my God, what am I doing? What if I can't afford it? But you know what? Think back, and what I had to do is sort of think back to all the times that I barely made my rent. I was using credit cards to go out with my friends, and every time I got through it. I mean, obviously not ideal. You don't want to be using credit cards to go party, but I wanted to live my best life. And every time I went overseas on my, pretty average wage, every time I've always made it work. I'm always here. I've never not gone without food. I've never not paid my rent. And that is evidence enough for you to go, I can do this. And of course, worst case scenario, but even time my parents say like, oh, worst case, you can just go back to another job. But don't even talk about it. I don't want to hear that language. So you know in the back of your mind that is the worst case scenario, and that's not a bad idea. Your ego will get hurt and you'll come in it with more experience. You'll probably get a pay rise, but that's not an option. So that fear is so normal, and I remember feeling it, but you've got to stick with the people around you that are going to go, you've got this, we believe in you. Of course, you have to believe in yourself, but it's very hard when you're going to make a really scary decision. So I relied on just reassurance from my parents, like, you got my back, like, am I going to be okay? An amazing business community. We all have one, we all know one, and if you don't have one, find one, because they're the people, and the last one is always look up to someone that's not like earning millions of dollars a month and has their bougie lifestyle, because someone that's just a bit ahead of you. That's the best way. Even like if you're looking at marketing mentors or people online, never look for the millions of followers. They grew in a different time, they have different experiences, and they're marketing something different. Look for someone that's just a little bit ahead of you, because you know it's possible. You know it's attainable. So I always look to people that, weren't the millionaires, 6-figure, 7-figure business owners. I was probably 6, but I was looking for the ones that had, quit their job in the last year, that had, done all those things. But I felt horrible. It didn't feel good. And you say like, oh, isn't this meant to feel like so exciting? And of course it is exciting, but it actually feels shit. And that's okay, because that's so normal. And don't let your ego go, you shouldn't feel like this. It should be exciting. You should be, because
Mm-hmm.
it's here to protect you. It wants you in a 9 to 5. It wants you to be, stable and secure. So you just got to honor it. It feels hard. I have these moments all the time. Like, we started to really grow when we got back from South America, and I felt shit. And I'm like, why do I feel shit? But it's when that vision, and this is what my mentor explained to me as well, when that vision is coming to a close and you're ready for the next one. So there's that uncomfortable period of that next vision that doesn't feel good, even though everyone tells you that it should. It doesn't.
That makes so much sense. And also, I think something you said something very important at the beginning, when you were thinking about starting your business, which is most of us are not used, we didn't grow up in an environment of entrepreneurs. So they
Mm.
also don't know. Like, even if you ask your parents, or in my case, if I ask my parents, hey, do you think I should quit now? Like, do you think this is what do you think about it? They probably be like, shit in their pants, like, no, you shouldn't. Or even if they want to support me, they'll be like, oh, well, I don't know. Just make sure that you end up things well with your boss in case that you need to go back. Those type of comments that you understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, it's like, this is not what I want to listen. This is not what I need right now. So having a community of entrepreneurs, like Mariah say, is so important. And you're actually part of my community, because every time that I'm kind of like, what the hell am I doing? I just go to her page. I'm like, I'm just going to see what she's doing. She's probably traveling all over the world. And I'm like, okay, I can't do this. I can continue doing this because I'll be okay. It will be fine. And now, okay, now that you mention it too, let's talk about what happened with that client, because that's like, I always like to ask about like difficult situations with clients. That sounds like something very interesting. What happened?
Yeah. So, and there's so many lessons in this, right? And I think when these difficult things happen, you always have to go like, what is the lesson in this? And bless Mitch, he's so like, that's how he is. He's always like, all right, that was shit. What was the lesson? I'm like, there's no lesson. He's like, well, you'll find it. And I do. So basically I started working with a client in last year in around April, from the United States. product-based business, very interesting, based in New York, and New York was always a little dream of mine. So I was like, "Oh, this is so cool." Like, I get to kind of live this little New York dream through content because I wanted to do it. The whole brand was around like Brooklyn. So I, loved it. Two males in this partnership. I'm fine. Work like I'm not. I have to work with women. Like my branding is probably more towards women. The educational stuff I do is more towards women. But my clients, I actually love working with both genders, and I think like it brings a bit more of a different dynamic. I am quite masculine in my energy a lot, so I do like that kind of like hustle, even though hustle's been made to be a dirty word, like the good kind of hustle, right? So anyway, I started working with them, and it was an interesting dynamic to say the least. They were friends, but yeah. Anyway, so probably a few red flags. Always like just be mindful if you do see a couple of red flags, just note them down because they might help you when you need to make a decision to kind of let go of clients. And it's okay to let go of clients. I've done it. It's scary. It feels horrible. It's literally like a breakup sometimes, but you've got to do what's best for you. And I think it is important to remember that you can let go of clients and not have that scarcity that you won't get them back, or somewhat like, you won't get another one, because you will. Anyway, so I'm in Europe, and I get a message or a voice note from the one that I kind of dealt with the most, who was the content, the face of the business. Like, I really got along with him, and he was like, "Oh, look, the partnership is ending. I'm going to do another business though, so I'll still get your help. No worries. Like, but just so you know, I'm going to take over the business." And anyway, there was like all these kind of like mixed messages. I was like, okay, as long as like I can still get paid, that's fine. So there was already an invoice owing, and I'm pretty lenient, and I think sometimes you've got to be hard on this. Actually, 90% of the time you got to be hard on this unless someone gives you a reason of why they haven't paid it. And I said, "Okay, no worries. There's an invoice there. Like, what's the go?" He's like, "It's fine. It'll get paid." Okay. So I'm in Spain with Mitch's family. So fine. Okay, all good. Like, we weren't really paying for accommodation, things like that. So it's fine. And then we get to Mallorca, more family, and one invoice gets paid. I'm like, great, cool, awesome. So one gets paid in part payment, but it gets paid, and I continue doing work for the company, and then he sort of slowly transitions it into his newer company, which is sort of similar, but like a product-based business, but with Brooklyn, but a different product. I was like, all right, great. And he was like full guns blazing, investing money. But one thing he said to me, he had a launch party for the business with his friend, and he said, "Oh, I got all these cookies made and all this shit, and the cookies were such shit quality, and they cost me $4 a cookie. I'm just not paying that invoice." And I was like, "Oh, okay. You just decide you don't pay for something if you don't like it. Like, that's not really how it works." So I kind of got that, and I was like, "Oh, well, okay, maybe you should just talk to them and like say you weren't happy, or nah, I'm just not paying it." And I was like, "Oh God, okay." So anyway, I have two invoices sitting there. I have all these calls with him and his like business partner, and I'm actively doing work, and he's like, "Yep, yep, I've got to put the money in. I'll put it in." So anyway, he put some money in. Great. It bounces. And I'm like, "Oh, great." And I was like, continue having these conversations. I was having midnight meetings with him because he was in the United States and I was in Europe, and that worked better for him. So I had to have midnight meetings with him. I was lucky enough that I had like a mentorship call in Australia around that time. So I kind of piggybacked it off, and it was always like, "Yep, I'm paying your invoice. I'm paying your invoice. No worries." And I was like, "Okay, okay, okay, cool." He launches the business in October last year. He has a call. He's like, "Look, I need to come clean." There was 3 invoices at this time, or 2 and 1 coming. He's like, "I don't have any money to pay you, and I've just been embarrassed, and I haven't told you, and I'm really sorry. Like, I've gotten loans to pay people, and then I've got to pay the loan back. Like, I'm borrowing off others to pay others, and I can't do it anymore." And I felt for him. Like, obviously that's shit. He's got 2 daughters, a wife. Like, I don't, like, obviously a very different situation to me. So, and I'm a very empathetic person. I was like, "Okay, no worries." And so what can we do? He's like, "Well, I can give you 10% of our profits when we launch the business," because it wasn't launching, it wasn't selling anything, right? And I was like, "Oh, I'd kind of just want my invoices paid. So why don't we go, all right, I'll give you until the end of November, sorry, the end of October. And if nothing gets paid, I'm just going to have to stop working with you. But then we organize a payment plan." He's like, "Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you so much." Get to the end of October, still no payment. So I said, "I'm going to have to discontinue working with you." He's like, "Yep, no worries. I'll have everything paid by the end of the year." Then he ghosts me in January. And I've got 4,500 Australian dollars owing to me. and I email him and he said, "Oh, well, I don't have the money, so I can't pay you." I'm like, "Yeah, but that's not my problem. You still owe me." He's like, "Well, I can't pay you, so I'm not paying you. I don't have the money." And I was like,
Oh my God. And we're in October now.
So this was last year, and this is coming into
Last year.
January. That's a year ago, yeah, that he was like, "I can't pay you anymore."
And still
Um,
no money for him, nothing for him.
no, so he ghosted me in February. I went to a debt collector in Australia. And is the problem with working across with worldwide businesses is you really can't do anything because they're overseas. So if it's in your country, there's a lot that can be done, but because he's in the United States, so I had a debt collector. It was like no win, no fee, and they just got to the point where like he's not answering, so that's it. And I'm just sitting here. They go, you can escalate it, but that's going to cost you money. It's $150 to start, and like I don't know what the fees are going to be. They have a little bit more pull, but if he just doesn't answer, he doesn't answer, right? Like what can I do? So yeah, lots of lessons from this for everyone that does service based. Like I had a contract in place, which I guess if it's someone in your country that you're working with, that would have given me a lot. And I actually would have gotten a lot more money back because I have in a clause in my contract, it's 10% for every day it's late. So obviously I don't like enforce it with clients that pay you 5 days late or something, but it's for that kind of thing. So I would have had a lot of extra money, but because he was overseas. So my advice is as soon as like if that invoice is due, always check your invoices. Always, and but I was too scared to keep asking for the money. It's embarrassing, it's uncomfortable, but you have to. Otherwise, you cut the work. You don't have to do anything. And so I usually do pay at the start before I even begin working. So that's an advice I give to anyone. Take payment before you even begin working and have a contract. If you don't just go off an email and trust. Have a contract, even with the people you love, even with the people that are the most amazing clients. Always have a contract. Um, it seems in my contract is always 30 days notice if you want to discontinue working with me. So it gives me 30 days to find a new client. That is something that has helped me a lot. But as soon as the invoice is late, by a week, send it again, and you'll know the patterns of your clients over time, but then you have to have the conversation. Hey, I just sent you the invoice. Can you let me know when you're going to pay it? And you can use things like, oh, my accountant's doing my bookkeeping and he was just chasing up my, if you feel uncomfortable, and the accountant's you, that's fine. But if they say, oh, sorry, I can't discontinue working then straight away.
That's actually something that someone recommended to me. I don't know, someone gave me this advice. And I have a clause in my contract from the very first client that I had that it says like after, if let's say I send the invoice today and I haven't been paid in a week, then I immediately stop working. Like I don't do anything else. And that's kind of like a good thing to be like, hey, just a reminder that after tomorrow, if you haven't paid me, then I'm not gonna do anything else until you pay me. And it's scary and a little intimidating to have to say that to a client, but that's
It is what it
that's
is.
how you
Yeah.
have to do it.
Yeah. And in the back group, never be afraid to stop working. And so this start of this year, I had a client that hadn't paid me, and I said, "Look, and I've had a horrible experience." So I now use that as a horrible experience, and I say, "Look, I've had a really bad experience with this. That's why I'm really strict on it. So let me know when you can pay me. Give me a date. I'm happy to be flexible to that, but I can't do any more work if you can't pay me." And they've been really good about it, and I've never had, touch wood, any wood around me, an experience like that since. But it's just a massive lesson. And unfortunately, as a small business owner, we don't go any challenge you have in your life, you never go through it without any pain. And whilst I love what I do, there is pain that gets caused, but it makes you stronger and better at what you do the more you go through it. So since that's happened to me, I've got a lot more boundaries, and that was almost the universe giving me something to happen for me to really be like, I am the CEO of my business and I don't want that's not happening. And also I pay team members, so I lost money. So not only did I lose my time, I had paid people to help me, like I paid my partner to help with the design of that for that business. So I lost a lot more than that $4,500 and my time. I lost money that I'd paid my partner to help me with things like so you need to remember that it's like also, especially if you start outsourcing stuff, it's not just you, it's other people as well. And sometimes that helps with that accountability. Like, there's also my family. Like, my partner and I, we're a family. Like, that's my family. If you don't pay me, I don't get to support my family. So that sucks, right? And if someone isn't going to give you that level of respect, they're definitely not worth working with. And you will find someone that is and that really values your time. And I think that's another thing that I learned along the journey. Like, just because someone comes along and they're giving you the money doesn't mean like you owe them anything. It's an exchange, it's an energetic exchange, and you both are 50-50 in that partnership. Of course, it's their business and you respect their business and everything, but you are deserving of the money that you receive for that. So I think, obviously when we have a client, we're so grateful because we get that experience, but you come to the point where it's like they're also lucky to have you, and that you have to remember that.
Exactly. That's important. And you have to believe it because it's a little hard, especially when you're just starting, but you have to believe it because that's exactly what it is. That's a tough story, girl. I'm still wrapping my head around that because I'm just here thinking, what would have I done? Like is I feel like you handle it so well. And even now that you're
Right.
talking about it, just like the way that you're saying it, like so calm, because I feel like I will be so upset about it. But yeah, you know what? I've heard some place that someone said that this is like a little whatever, but that when like that kind of money is taken from you or any kind of money is taken from you is because the universe is gonna triple it. So I feel like at the
Yeah.
end of the year, probably you're gonna get a lot of money.
Bring it on.
Okay, we already touched all this about clients kind of thing. Now let's talk about content. Because as I said at the beginning of the podcast, because of you, I kind of like had the courage to continue posting things on my Instagram because I feel like when we start a business, we're just not sure what to post about. Even though I was the social media manager, it was really hard for me to think about what to post. And I could have all these ideas. I feel like I had so many things in my mind that I wanted my brand to be about. But then the one thing that I was very confused was my niche. Who am I talking to? And I remember that I asked you that in the workshop. I was like, I'm not even sure. Like, I know I want my potential clients to be women, but I don't feel like I have a niche. And I just loved that you said, Maria, it's okay if you don't haven't figured it out. Like, you don't need the answer right now. Just like start posting things that feel right for you, and then they'll just come. So let's talk about for those who aren't sure as well about their niche. Like, what will be the tips that you could give them to start posting, to start creating content, and to put together a good marketing content strategy with a great storytelling that will get them clients.
Mm. I love this. And I love that story about, it happens so often, right? We're like, oh, I've got all these things in my head and I don't know how they work and all that. And really, like, it's so funny. I work with so many different industries across finance, business coaching, strategy. I've got a product-based business, energetic spirituality, right? So it's like very, very, and it's like, oh, what's your niche? And I'm like, no, no, no. I work with a specific type of person. My target audience is a specific type of person. So the common thread across all those people is, that growth mindset, that drive, even though, yes, they might be quite spiritual, they also have this like, masculine energy that they just want to like succeed. They want to be impact, maybe I even got clients that, yeah, they're in like, they work in a very masculine area, but they meditate, like things like that, that is just like that really balance of masculine and feminine. So my advice is to just think about like who are the types of people that I've loved to work with in the past and who haven't I loved to work with. Then you get that specific person. And that specific person will change over time, but you can write about that person. So who is it? Their name is Maria, and they love travel, they love this, and you know them because you've worked with them. And it's funny how we had those like epiphanies, and I was like, I was redoing my target audience like persona recently, and I was like, oh my God, I've worked with so many people. I know who I love, and I just wrote that person, the name of my actual client, exactly what they do each week because I know exactly what they do in their day because they voice note me all the time and tell me what they do. And it was just so easy and natural just to write about that person. It's like, oh, that's easy, isn't it? So over time, like as you're doing more work and getting more experience, but in the beginning, you might not exactly know who that is. So just like high level, who is that person and what type of content would they resonate with? And yeah, you have all those amazing ideas and um all the things that you would like to post, but I think just really start with like, who is that person? What's their problem and how can I help them? But not always talking about you, sharing the value of what you do. So, what something I teach, and I learned this from a marketer I absolutely love. Her name's Maddie Avery. And she talks about like content being, your funnel becomes like your content plan. So basically, your top of funnel is no one knows you. It's about being seen. So, what types of content are not about you and all about your audience and something that will capture their attention, right? So, you start to like pull together some pieces of content that fits that bucket. Then you've got the next funnel, which is to build trust. So, what types of content would build trust with your audience that know you a little bit, but not a lot? And then what types of content share what you actually do because we're business owners. So, the bottom of the funnel, because they need to buy from you. And if you just start there and like, like one part of the funnel during the week, like if it's 3 posts, each part of the funnel, then you start to learn what people resonate with, what engage, and obviously the promotional content is going to get less views, it's going to get less engagement, but you only need to, it's because people need to know what you're doing. And the goal of that piece of content is very different to the goal of the piece of content at the very beginning of your funnel that might get lots of views and lots of engagement. So if you have a balance of that, and promotion doesn't mean like also, buy my stuff. It could be join my email list or, getting people to that next step. And I think with social media, we're very top of funnel and very middle of funnel for some, and then not bottom at all. And then others are too bottom and not enough like top. So find that balance in that sweet spot, because at the end of the day, you are a business owner. Your promotion could be more in your stories, because that's in Instagram. If we're using Instagram, for example, because the people that are going to see that are really highly engaged. And if we look at Instagram like a funnel, your Instagram Reels is going to get delivered to followers and non-followers. So that can act as your top of funnel content. Your carousels and static images are going to reach your followers. So that can be your middle funnel. That's where you do more of like your education and trust building content. And your bottom of funnel is going to go to the people that are really engaged. So that can be on your stories, pop a link to join your mailing list, pop a link to book a call. Obviously, like make it engaging. Don't just like smack links up everywhere. But if you can start creating that type of content consistently with in mind that person that you really love, that's a very basic strategy, but that will get you somewhere, right? Understanding who your person is and creating a mixture of content that can capture that person on their journey. Because at the end of the day, you're following their journey from when they first meet you to when they potentially buy from you. And I mean, I don't know about you, but in service based, I think it's a lot easier. Like someone could not know me and hire me to do their marketing, which is wild. But for course creation, if you want to do any education stuff, that can take a long time. Some people it can take up to 12 months. So anything coaching, anything mentoring. But we're VAs, social media marketers, content marketers, actually converting those clients, if you can get them on a call, that they're 80% sold, right? So if you focus on getting calls with people, that can be like your goal from social media, but you need to capture everyone in their journey. And I think in terms of like, what's my niche? Do I, help? And you might start off with, oh, I do more admin and stuff. And then down the track, you're like, what, I love social media. Just switch, just like you can do that. It's okay. Like I started just content writing, and now I've got like a little boutique agency doing all kinds. And now we're getting more into like video, and we're going out and filming for clients and doing editing. Like you'll grow those strengths and you'll find what you love, but you can't find that until you start doing it. So you just got to start doing it. And even with the social media stuff, maybe in the end you go, oh, you know what? I'm really good at a specific channel. So maybe I just focus on one channel and just help people really, really grow that channel. And people will pay the money if you get the results, but you've got to obviously spend the time and really know what you're talking about. And that's another piece of advice that I always give, is always learn, because there's always so much to be ahead of everyone in the game. And as they're not competition, they're all collaboration. I love working alongside people that serve the same people as I do, but you've got to keep learning. And there's so much to learn. And when you think you've learned it all, something changes. And I think something that really helped me was like, I don't know it all. And that's okay, because I'll keep learning and growing. And if you have that mindset, like your clients will absolutely love it, because they'll get the benefits of you just continuing to grow and learn. So that's a short little strategy that I would encourage people just to try and see how that works.
I mean, it was short, but it was really good. Like, even to me, really good reminders about a bunch of things. And I'm also gonna say that I remember that you said that our our persona will probably change, or the things that we want to offer will probably change. It was what you just said. And it's true. Like, I've especially when we're just starting, we are just like changing constantly. Like, okay, maybe I want to do admin, maybe I want to do podcast editing, maybe I want to do more social media. And that's fine because we're just trying to figure it out what exactly it is that we want to offer. What is it that we're, better doing, or we just enjoy doing the most, or whatever it is. And even to me, right now, and I purchased your bootcamp and I love it, and I've started it. I haven't passed to the second module, but it's because every time I'm like, hold on, is this actually what I want to do? And I'm kind of like freezing there. But it's because I feel like I'm just trying to figure it out what it is. Because I started my account as, okay, I'm a virtual assistant for, women and all that stuff. And now I want to kind of like talk to other aspiring or other virtual assistant who already have a business. So I'm kind of like, I'm just trying to figure it out what my content is going to be. What is it that I want to do? And my goal is to start once again for the third time the boot camp. So I highly recommend it because it's really helpful. And even to me, that I've only uh, gone through the first two modules, every time it is so
Mm.
valuable, and I get so much from it, from the workshops and from the workbooks and everything that you have included there. So yeah, I'll put the link in the show notes because it's really helpful, and if you can talk to us about it, that will be super helpful because that's a great way if you feel like you're stuck and that you can make content for yourself and even for your clients. That's a really good investment.
Oh, thank you so much. And a piece of advice I would give for anyone that's in the same position as you, Maria, is like you can then start to create it from a persona of your own personal brand and the founder's journey of starting a virtual assistant social media managing business. Because that actually is very interesting to clients that want to potentially work with you. You're showcasing, because also what I've found as well is um, the people that hire you don't necessarily convert because you write a post that says you're taking on clients, right? They convert because they like your personality. They think that you know what you're talking about. So I always look at it as like if I'm creating content and it's consistent and I'm walking the walk, talking the talk, like I'm showing people I know what I'm doing, that generally, and some people actually haven't even looked at my social media. Some of my clients don't even follow me because they trust me, right? They've had a call with me, and a lot of it's referral recommendation, right? And I think they're the best clients you can get. But if you're really stuck in that position, I think it's just like go with like Maria or whatever, whoever you are, like personal brand. Share the journey, share like the founder's journey, and share a little bit of your clients and what they do. Because also, if I'm a VA and I'm watching you and I see that you're editing podcasts for your clients and you've got all these clients, you're doing all this fun stuff, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like Maria's like here and I want to look up to her. But then also for the clients that want to potentially work with you, they see what you can do and all of that. So try to go from like a lens of always like really bird's eye view. And at different times, different marketing campaigns, different seasons in your business, you can hone in on one niche, right? So like for me, if I tomorrow needed some more retainer clients, I know I could create like a campaign. And sometimes I do. I do like more brand awareness campaigns where I just talk about like us being a social media, content marketing agency and all the stuff we do. And then sometimes I do it more for the business owners and things like that. And I think all the time we get so hung up on like, oh, my social media has to be this sort of way or that sort of way. It doesn't. It has to just be a representation of everything you do. And you can do it in campaign style where it's like chunks of time, or you could just mix it all together. Like it just really does depend on the goal at that time that you're in, and always create something for that time. Because even boot camp, like it's something you can go through every 3 months. So go through it, implement that strategy. In 3 months, come back and you won't have to tweak it as much. You'll just slowly tweak bits. It won't be like, oh, I think people get in that mindset like, oh, but I'm not ready to have a strategy because I don't know about this, this, and this. Just have it for where you're at now. and then come back and tweak it. Because if you're always starting from a blank space, you're never going to get to that end point. I think you've always got to like do it, and then you've got something and you can always tweak and change. And that's something that's helped me a lot, because the foundations of you will never change, right? Like you're you, right? And a lot of us are the faces of our business. So bootcamp is an self-paced. It's a hybrid, so it's self-paced and we have a live element to it. So it's a course helping you go from like the start to the end of building a content strategy. And actually, if you are a social media manager and you want to learn proper content marketing strategy, it's also awesome for that. And that's something I want to dive into as well, is supporting social media managers and VAs to actually have that marketing strategic element, because you can charge more when you're offering like a different level of strategy, because it's that strategic thinking that you can charge more for rather than doing more. So it's really good as like an education as well. And you can I'm like, do this strategy with your clients. I am not like, if you go and implement that with your clients, that is amazing. Like, I'm not here going like, you can't use my work. No, like obviously don't teach it, but you can definitely use it with your clients. And that's something that, but if you don't have a strategy yourself, it's very hard for you to continue to support your clients in that journey, because you're the case study. Like, use yourself as like a test and then help you with your clients. So it goes through target audience, goals, platforms, those marketing funnels that I just talked about, your unique like value, like what makes you unique, and then also the process of how you can execute. And actually, the process part is really helpful if you do run multiple pages, because you'll be building a process so that your work is a lot easier. That's how I managed to do 10 different clients, my own content. Obviously, I do have support, so I'm not going to deny that, but that strategy is our backbone and that really helps. So that basically is my whole strategy that I do with any client, is in course form, and the videos are like 5 minutes to no more than like 10. So it shouldn't take too long, and you do get a lot of support from me throughout the process. So that's a little bit about bootcamp. Thank you for asking me to share it. It's my baby, and I'm going to be
Course.
updating again soon. And if you ever join, it's like you evolve with me. So as more I evolve, the course evolves, and you get that sort of like evolution. So when you purchase it, it's $300 Australian. You get like the iterations of this course, which is just something, my baby, that I'm just going to continue growing on for, I don't know, as long as possible.
Okay, I'm very excited because I'm gonna start doing it soon, actually, just because I want to make sure that this new strategy with the podcast and everything is gonna be aligned to what I want to do. Like the new version of Good Days on social media kind of thing.
Love it.
So that's why I brought it up, because I love it. I love it. And I go back to it all the time. I go back to the Trello board that you shared all the
Mhm.
time. It is so helpful, girls, honestly. I'll put it all in the show notes because it is very helpful. In talking to Mariah, I'll say that her customer service is, that's how you call it for this instance. I'm not sure. It
Yeah,
is
I guess so.
amazing, because every time that I ask something to her, she's there to help me. She is just like a friend, honestly. Like, I can ask her anything and she will help me with whatever she can. So it is
Oh,
it is a really good support that we all need, because not just like because we're not sure about, the experience of being social media managers. We're just like, when we're just starting, we're not sure about everything. So it is really good to have a someone who can help you with anything at all, with something at all.
yes, and I make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
I've made all the mistakes, so I'm here to help make sure no
Yes.
one else makes my mistakes. It's all part of
Right?
the
Oh my God, yeah. So that's what we're here to share, whatever mistakes that we've ever done, so they don't have to do them themselves. But I'm just gonna say that sometimes you just have to make the mistakes, or you're not gonna learn. Even if you listen that experience from other people, you're just gonna have to go through it yourself.
Yeah, sometimes you can't avoid it, and it grows personality, right? It makes for a good story. So a lot of these I want to
Yes.
eventually share on TikTok once I've got because I've got more, like, trust me. So I will be sharing more of.
Yes. Should we do that like a collaborative series of content? Because I also have some.
Yes, we should
Yes.
actually. Let's talk about that. That sounds
That
great.
that will be fun, yeah. Oh my God. Mariah, thank you so much for coming in. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed
Mm.
talking to Maria, and I'm so grateful and so proud to be on your podcast. This is, yeah, just such a full circle moment, and I'm so happy for this. This is going to be amazing. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, we will share all the amazing pages and social media channels that you have, because I really want people to follow you and to be inspired by you and to go, oh my God, I want to go to that place, because that's exactly what is going to happen if you follow Mariah.
Yeah, for the
She is
travels.
everywhere all the time. Yeah, she's like, okay, when you're bored, that's the page that you have to go. If you want to travel, that's where you have to go.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll see you in a part 2 of this, because this is really good.
Yes, love it.
Okay. Ciao.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Good Days Academy podcast. If today's episode gave you the tools you need to grow your virtual assistant business, subscribe, leave a review, and share with others. If you need more resources, visit my Etsy shop for templates and tools, and follow me on Instagram at gooddays_VA for daily tips on entrepreneurship, marketing, and virtual assistants.